Go ahead.
I want to start off saying that to be a leader, you have to step out of the ball. I mean, step out of the box and just do something that nobody else does. And as far as I'm concerned, there's more than one person on here that steps out of that box. And I want to congratulate Frances for another return, as leaders do. She has been very exemplary as far as leadership qualities. Marsha Sortino has been down without a headset, and being that said, she stepped up and took the role and center one. So that's a leader. And that's where I go with a leader, is someone that makes sure that you're on a call. Make sure that they take care of business ahead of time. Like I had, my first business that I had was consumer choice marketing. And my leader, he had me on a text blast. And 10 minutes before, he'd have me blasted in there so I would know that there's a call coming. Now that's leadership. Leadership is when someone sets out there and say, I'm going to make sure the people that I love or that I care about or need it the most are in there. Like we have Morning Motivator. And Frances Richardson has also stepped into that and found quite exemplary leadership. Like this morning, Janet and Dawn Laguerre, they had a very great thing on building on your first contact. What's your first contact? How you contact the person. And that's what I wanted to step out there and say. Congratulations to Frances. Congratulations to everybody on the call. And I'm just going to give it back to whoever wants to take it.
I'll grab it here for a second. I really like what you had to say, Carl, of somebody keeping you accountable as a leader. Because as for me, doing this show, I always want to make sure that even if no one shows up, I'll do a Google Hangout by myself. Or even if I can't make it, I'm letting Chris know. If I can't do something as a leader, or if I have a responsibility as a leader, I need to help somebody else to learn how to become one. Or I need to step up to the plate if nobody's there and also lead. So a leader has the responsibility of making sure that his dream, his vision, his idea in the world can come to fruition. And sometimes there's Indians, you were saying, and there's chiefs. Sometimes you start as an Indian and you have to step up and become a chief eventually. And when you become a chief, it's great power. Like Uncle Ben, how many people are familiar with Spider-Man? Uncle Ben says to Peter Parker in that movie, with great power comes great responsibility. So a leader does have great power with themselves, but they also have a very strong responsibility to their team, to people they're helping, and to others, so they can get the job done. Anyone who wants to take it, go ahead.
Yeah, I got it. Well, leadership is the ocean-going vessel that's at the front of a convoy of ocean-going vessels, right? So obviously they're the leader that makes sure that everybody else behind them gets to their destination, right?
That's greatness, Doug.
Yeah. Like that. I just came up with that about like 30 seconds ago. So.
Good stuff. Good stuff right there.
One thing I like about this is you can come up with organic stuff on the fly. It's not like I'm giving people like note cards like, here's what you say, here's what makes good real leadership. Just read it off, and they're like being a teleprompter. Like some people you see at press conferences are like, okay, so great leader does, what do they do? Let me check. What does this word say? Oh yeah, look, they're sporadic. Yeah, I just want people to come up with an idea, organically say it, and go for it.
That's
so
the
next person.
That's the first time I ever actually broke down the word leadership, you know, and it gave me the example right there.
It sure did.
Right?
Sure did.
I have no idea if that's where the word came from or not, but it makes a lot of sense, right?
There's a play on words at any rate.
Leader. It may be the origin of the word, who knows?
Very well could be.
I think an excellent earmark of a good leader is somebody that doesn't leave anybody behind. They're capable of
Amen,
instilling
sister. Amen.
value or worth in others that are insecure in their qualities. You bring out the good qualities in somebody to lift them up by the bootstraps to where they will step up and take action on their own goals.
Excellent. Excellent.
One of the things that I like in a leader is if they're strong and they will support their team and the people that work under them. I used to have a supervisor that was the actual laboratory supervisor, and everybody loved her and everything, but she didn't really have as much respect from the employees because she wouldn't really stand up for them. You know, she would get called in about an employee, and then she really never really stood up and behind her employees. So she was a little less respected for that, although she was a super nice lady and everything. But so I think strength and standing up for your people is really good.
Would you say that that person you're talking about would, if she was called up to speak to her superior about an employee, that by not standing up for them, she kind of threw them under the bus at times?
Yes, yeah. She wouldn't really stand up for them too much. And then she would kind of go behind the superior's back and kind of pat you on the back. It's okay. I didn't have any choice. I had to, you know, throw you under the bus, basically. But
Yeah.
So people didn't really have
Claiming the glory.
that kind of. Yeah.
That's really one
But
part of a
super
leader that
nice
hurts.
lady.
I don't think nice, though, is just a qualification, because there's a lot of nice people.
Pleasure of national company for a couple of years, and it was a position that I never really thought that I would get or have, and I never really thought of myself as a leader, although I've been a leader all my life in everything and anything that I do. But I don't consider I don't have a hat that says I'm the leader or something. But when I was the president, it taught me a lot, and I like to lead by example. And I was the first one there every day. I was the last one to go home. If like the toilet overflowed and the lady didn't come in to clean it or whatever, I would do anything that anyone else did in the company. We were going to hire a guy to build our sprouting hydroponic sprouting system. I'm like, no, I want to do it. So I class and did it myself as the president, so I could teach everybody. So to me, I don't know if that was good leadership or not, but I like to lead by example. You know,
That's excellent.
That's always good leadership, Rick.
I don't know. I mean, that's just me. No, it's not by what you say either, because guys, a lot of bullshit comes out of their mouth. I don't care what people say that much. It's what they do, and how they treat other people. And that's just me. You know that. There's a lot.
Actions.
Yeah.
Actions. That's what
Actions.
leaders do. Actions.
Yes.
A leader will never ask anybody to do something they aren't willing to do themselves.
That's great.
Well said, Doug.
I really like
Well
what you
said.
said there, because I see a lot in modern society, maybe a boss, or I've had bosses, people in positions who are, or leadership positions, who want me to do something they were not able to do, and I always thought, why are you asking me to do these things if you don't have that same skill set? And for Sandy, who just joined, we're talking about what makes a good leader and what qualities of good leadership are. Also, Bill, do you have any thoughts on leadership or qualities of a leader you really admire?
I guess, let's see. A leader is one that'll step up to the plate and do what he has to and train, like what Rich, I think it was Rich that was saying, yeah, you got to get in and do what you have to do to keep everything together and going. And if you see someone that's struggling or having some issues, you got to go over and help them along, do some training. You're a lot of times a trainer too. So yeah, and somebody that will help you along whenever you're not doing well or needing some assistance. So that's where leadership, he leads you. He takes you by the hand and helps you to get where you need to be.
I agree, Bill, especially if you're trying to put a team together. A team is only as strong as the weakest link. So if you can reinforce and give that weak link a little more stability, you're going to have a stronger team and you're going to have a better creative product.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, yes, Francis.
For sure. If you stand behind your people and build them up and do positive, stuff with them and treat them positively, then it'll all come back to you too.
Yeah, I think leaders help you find your true potential. Not just necessarily take you by the hand, but help find yourself, just like what we're doing. Help you find yourself, and help you find your true potential. Not just, dude, if you do this and that, well, you'll be a lot better today. No.
So what's the leader's job? He's got a plaque up there. Did you see it, Rick? I didn't read it.
I don't know if my camera picked it up, but this is up on my desk here. It says.
I'm sorry, Rick, man, but he was posting something up there, and it was like I was trying to read it and I couldn't.
Yeah, I said I can't. I don't know if it's coming through.
Hold on. I was reading it. If you held it just a little bit longer, I would have read it. No problem. Hold it up, over. Okay. A leader's job is to look into the future and see the organization not as it is, but as it can be. Awesome. Awesome. That's what I wanted to make sure that got put in there. Sorry, Rick. I didn't mean to cut you, man.
I zoomed in on that. That's great. And Sandy, I don't know if you know, we're talking about what makes a great leader and qualities in leadership positions maybe people have helped you with, or when you've been a leader yourself. And it's just open discussion. And one thing I really like about that quote, though, Doug, is leaders of today, I feel, need to learn from that so they themselves can take responsibility and accountability for what they're doing in their own lives. Because I see, if you're a leader, you have to take accountability. If I have this show and no one shows up, I'm still going to hit start broadcast and talk to myself. I may make like a sock puppet here, or I'm put eyes on my thumb, like, what do you think of leadership? I don't know. It's a difficult task. And my friend Josh is joining us. We're talking about how leaders, either qualities you enjoy in leaders, or if you've been in a leadership position yourself, how you can help others, and it's an open discussion. And I just want to emphasize that point of taking accountability, like Doug was showing. And if you're going to be a leader, I'm a captain. I'm going down with my ship. It just happens to be a Google Hangout. So anybody who wants to add to that or any thoughts on that, feel free.
Hey, before I forget about it, Kareem, there's something you said earlier I'd like to touch on. You said about you wonder when a leader comes to you and asks you something that they don't know themselves.
Yes.
And I understand what you're saying to a point, but I also think that a really good leader is going to surround himself with people that do know things he doesn't know. And he's going to be humble, but the trick is to be humble about it and say, listen, this is something that I don't have that skill set, but you do. So I'm going to ask you, what do you think? Now, being the leader, you may or may not take that advice, but just there's nothing wrong with again, surrounding yourself with people that have skills that you don't have. Because there's a lot of time, not everybody can have every skill. It's just impossible. So I understand what you're saying. Now, if you got somebody that's not doing it in a proper method or proper way, then it's not. It doesn't have that appeal to it. So
I would think that, yes, you're not going to have skills, so maybe I'll ask somebody on a website like Fiverr or something to do something I'm not able to do, which is fine. But if it's something I'm not willing to do myself, not, I shouldn't say
Right, there
able,
you
but
go.
like willing to learn or willing to do. Like if I or Soul Dancer said, you know, I want you to stay on a Google Hangout for like 5 hours. I'm not willing to do that. I don't have the
Maybe either an
time.
hour, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'd like you to, on the Hangout, be able to explain high-level calculus. I'm not really willing to maybe necessarily invest time to learn that, so I'm not going to ask somebody else to do that.
Right.
And if you're a leader, you have to acknowledge, even if you do delegate tasks, which you will have to, you have to also be willing to do those tasks if somebody else, or find somebody else who can do them if that person is unable to.
Yeah, you said it by whether they're willing to do it or not is the
Yes.
key.
The intention is, are you willing to step up? If you're a leader of a company and some employees walk out for whatever, are you willing to sit there and try and learn their job to keep your company going?
Sure.
If people, if let's say if I don't show up, are you willing to, you know, have Chris, or are you willing to have other people step up for the power hour to keep it going? It all comes down to, are you willing to take the task on no matter what to see your dream? But I'd love to hear from you guys. I spoke enough.
No, you're right about that, the willingness.
But yeah, this is an open discussion. For Josh, who just came in, we're talking about like qualities of leaders and how to be an effective leader in your industry, business, whatever it is you do. So feel free, it's open discussion. Basically go off anything as long as we don't bring in religion or politics. So
There's another aspect of leadership that I think is really important, and you really see this, in some ways more than others, but being able to inspire somebody to do more than they think they can do. I think really tells or makes the leader shine if you can bring somebody else along and you can say, listen, you may not think you can do it, but I think you can do it.
That's what Marsha has done for me. That's what Marsha Sortino has done for me. I never thought in 100 years I'd ever be able to do Audacity files. I never thought I could do it. But she believed in me before I believed in myself. And that's the one thing about a leader. They believe in you. They believe in you already. That's because they already feel that vibration of the leadership quality. It's just like I can remember going, I'm only going to touch on this just a moment, going to church, and when an altar call was called, I was the first one in line. I was the first one with my hands up for a prayer on me. That was what my leadership quality was. I was the first one there. I led the whole church. Come on down. It's not so bad. Jump into the water. It's nice and warm. And that's all I'm going to touch on about it. That's not really overly religious, but it is an idea that's just leadership quality. You make a leader, someone's saying altar call. I'm there. I got my hands up. I'm waiting for my prayers to be answered, or my gift from God, or whatever the point may be. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that.
Hey, that takes courage to walk up in front of all them people.
I think one part that you mentioned, Carl, that I like is you have to, as a leader, see greatness in someone before they can see it in themselves. And sometimes you bring out that greatness by continually motivating someone. And now that I've seen your energy and your charisma on this show and on Pay Me What I'm Worth, I was like, wow, Carl, it's amazing to see what you're bringing to the table and what you continue to bring to the table, and it's very valuable. I think it's going to help a lot of people. And go ahead, guys.
And this has been what you've been saying. Kind of makes me think about, if you give somebody a fish, you'll feed them for a day, but if you show them how to fish, or and you be the leader to show them how to fish, they'll be able to eat every day. I think that kind of fits in. Yeah, you're showing them what to do, not telling them what to do or giving them all the information they need. Just give them enough to say, oh yeah, then you can take it to this step and lead them through that and help them do that. That's a mark of a true leader.
I think that came from the greatest leader of all time, too.
Who's that?
Jesus. Sorry, I got into religion there. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'm not saying you can't mention like, I think John F. Kennedy's a great leader. I'm not going to go into politics and be like, you should vote for this guy. That's when it would get bad. But I think all...
I think that came from the Bible, though, yeah.
Yes. And I think all spiritual leaders and all political leaders do see greatness in other people. At least I'd say the authentic ones see greatness in other people and really try and bring that out. Say, hey, I'm up here, but you can be up here too. You just have to learn these things. You just have to dedicate yourself, be disciplined, and you can be great too. In fact, I think any leader with any type of credibility is going to say to you, you can achieve what I've achieved. You just need to put in the work and the dedication, have the heart to do it. Maybe the heart's the most important thing. As Eric Thomas says, you have to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. What do you think, Francis?
I agree wholeheartedly. Yes, you do have to have the why that spurs you on, and you have to have a daily affirmation when you're leading, that you're going to be willing to do the job of other people, or you're capable of feeling what they're feeling, walking in their shoes, in order to understand how you can best help them overcome their hurdles.
That's good stuff, Francis.
I think the best way to help them overcome their hurdles, in my experience as a leader, is to start, I'm not going to say be mean to them, but give them constructive criticism, give them maybe a time or a dateline. Like, I see your TPS reports, or I've had jobs where people say, Kareem, I know you can do better. You have this time to get this, or consequences will happen. And at first I was like, wait, whoa. This person's being a fill in the blank. And then I really realized this person's pushing me to the next level. And I've had actually workout trainers like, you can get these many more reps in. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going. And while maybe they're not a leader in that sense we were talking about, they're still helping me get fit and giving me that mindset of just, you can get over being out of shape. You just have to put that extra rep in. Don't give up. And they were kind of mean. Not in the sense that they were yelling at me.
Feel like you were doing it totally by yourself. You had somebody in your corner that was there to help you, whether it was through instruction or through, like you said, constructive criticism. If you create the problem and give them the solution that they can work with, then it creates a stronger individual. And as Doug was saying, you've got to be willing to get in the trenches with the team. If somebody drops out, they're not going to accept their responsibility, or they shrug their responsibility. You've got to be willing to pick up the slack and walk in the trenches with the team and lead them to a favorable end, or you just don't want to lose the mission. Hold on the string and have the rest of them hold on to the same rope and all pull together.
That reminds me of, Francis, you did this already. I was in a certain business, and the person that I had above me, he saw the dollar signs that were above me because I had somebody sign up that was an entrepreneur millionaire. And he saw the dollar signs so bad, he wanted me to quit. You're not doing anything, whatever. He saw above me, and I don't have to bring no names into it. But Miss Francis on here,
Oh.
she told him to get back into his box, get back into his crate, or whatever it was, and says, we can't do marketing this way. It can't be done this way. You're pushing him. He's not gonna. He's just gonna rebel and probably stay longer just to be miserable. So Francis took the role when that other person wouldn't take the role, and so that's leadership.
Thank you, Carl. I had forgotten the incident. But
Here's an interesting thing I saw about that last night. I was at a concert, and the lead singer, funny enough, was really passionate about what he was doing. All of a sudden, I see a tech guy walk on, and one of the guitarists kind of walk off, and I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Apparently, the lead singer also played guitar as well, so he stepped into different shoes when somebody else wasn't there. And it's interesting to see as a leader, maybe not, if you're willing to have multiple skills, you might just be able to jump into every role if someone walks off. I just wanted to add that little tidbit.
I've got a story from when I was,
that role, then if it becomes necessary to replace that position, you're going to have a better indication in the next person you put in that position what qualities they need and what strengths they need to display to be an accent to the cause. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doug. I didn't mean to walk over you there.
oh no, that's all right. I just thought of a story that I had from back when I would early on when I was a leader running actual siding crews. We used to do vinyl siding, and I ran my own crews. So, but I had another crew leader show up at my job site one day, and while we were sitting there talking back and forth, my helper came around the corner, and he's like 20 years older than me. My helper was. And he came around the corner, and I saw him, and I said, hey, you know, I can't remember his name now, but hey, why don't you go around the back and take care of this? And he turned around and he says, F you, and then he walked around the side of the house. And the guy I was talking to, he just looked at me and he says, you let your employee talk to you like that? And I said, I'll tell you what, come around here with me. And I had him follow me around the back of the house. And we got around the back, and I pointed up, and I said, look up there and see this, what he's doing. And he was at the top of the ladder doing exactly what I told him to do. And you know, the moral of the story is, now I don't, obviously at my age now, I don't let people talk to me like that, but back then I was a kid, you know, and it wasn't that big a deal. But the thing was this guy was one of the slowest moving guys I ever had working with me. And everybody kept asking me, why do you keep him on? And the reason was because no matter what I asked him to do, no matter, you know, how long it took him, he never stopped. He kept plodding along, and he kept getting the job done, and, you know, he's never fast. But the thing was, the way he responded was to you know, his thing was just to mess with whoever was telling him what to do, but then he'd go do it anyway. And I recognized that in him, so I never let it bother me. And you know, if somebody else with a different personality had done the same thing, I probably would have fired him on the spot. But it was just the way this guy was, and you have to recognize that as a leader, because you might lose some good people just because, you know, their way of doing things or their personality conflicts with something you're supposed to be the norm, you know, or supposed to be accepted. So I learned a really good lesson with that guy. And he worked with me for years, and always delivered. And you know, that's something you just have to watch out for, because some people learn different ways. Some people react different ways, and some people are, are only led well in a certain way. And a good leader has to recognize that, or he's not going to get full potential out of his people.
A good point, Doug. I hadn't considered that. That was enlightening.
Sometimes you do.
I've never been called enlightening before, so thanks.
Oh, wow. But that is definitely eye-opening.
I'd like to hear from Sandy. She's unmuted there, dude.
Yeah, Sandy, are you able to, does your mic work?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi. Speaking about learning in different ways, you have to have patience because some people get it faster than others. For instance, my oldest daughter, Jessica, she is going to be 29 on Monday, and she is a special needs adult. And for about 10 years, every time she would get into the front seat, no problem, she would click the seatbelt. But when she got into the back seat, she would take the seatbelt and virtually turn all the way around just to click it. And just yesterday, she was able to take the seatbelt and click it without turning all the way around. It just took her longer to apply the concept of what she did in the front seat to the back. So that patience of having that learning curve for everybody is different, and when they're going to
Awesome.
and get it and be able to apply it. And another thing you have to do is that since there's so many different beautiful personalities out there, you have to have patience even if they get on your nerves. You have to talk with them one-on-one and really work through that problem with them to get them to that very next level. Because not everybody's going to be able to do something when you need for them to do it because of their circumstances or family life or whatever. So you have to be willing to stay with them for the long.
That's a great point. Really awesome.
And by the way, I am from Oklahoma. My
Oh,
parents lived
nice.
down in Norman.
I'm actually from Pennsylvania. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I really liked how you said we have to have patience, because sometimes when we're a leader, we have a tendency, we've been doing something so long to get frustrated. Like if I'm trying to teach someone something on a computer or a guitar, and maybe they wouldn't get it that quickly, I'd start to get a little bit irritated. And then you have to realize you were at that point once as well. You were the guy struggling to type or struggling to play a guitar, struggling to put your seatbelt on, struggling to drive. Whatever the skill set was, you at one point were struggling to even walk. So you have to acknowledge that people have different ways and different speeds at learning. And if you can do that, I think you can be a very effective leader. My brother Chris just got on as well. Hi, Chris.
Patience is utmost important when it comes to being a leader, because oftentimes people learn, like she says, at a different rate. When you learn at a different rate, then you got to have a different patience level to be that teacher or a leader. In order to be that leader, you got to slow down. You're going too fast. You got to make the morning last. Never mind.
There's another thing.
But anyways.
When I was homeschooling my daughter, I used to go to a lot of homeschooling seminars and everything, and they made everybody aware that not all the kids learn the same way, like everybody's saying. Some people, the kids will learn it because they're seeing it. If they look at it and go through it, then they'll be able to do it. And some people can hear it, and they'll learn it a lot better. Some people have to mess with it with their hands. There's just a lot of different ways that one way won't work for them, So just like that with the leaders, it's great for them to be able to recognize in their employees which way they do learn and how to approach them so that they can be part of the team in the best way that they can.
Cheryl, the last time that I was on the Hangout, you were showing some of your crafts that you did, and I have had dreams about you. I just think you should do videos and show the strategy and the theory of the strokes you take. They're just beautiful, the artwork.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Francis. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Welcome, Chris. How are you tonight?
Welcome, Chris. Be our leader. Step out there.
Hey, Chris.
Hello. I overslept.
Oh.
That's the end of there.
I was
That's
laying
it.
down. My sleep schedule's all over the place. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's so how's everyone doing anyway? I see some new faces. I see Bill and I see Josh back. Francis is here, and then I see Sandy. Sandy Johnson's here too. How's everyone doing?
Good, good, good.
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 Of course, there's Doug. Yep. And yeah, okay, cool. Right on. So,
We've been discussing tonight the qualities that we would perceive in either being a leader or that we have gained from somebody that might have led us. What would be your
yes.
take on it?
Okay, well, see, for me and Kareem and all the Cheryl and Rick and Doug, we all kind of help each other that way because, and of course, Francis, you've been here a few times now too. I think that experience is a huge factor in leadership and being around a long time and being around different people that have been examples to others is important, so you learn and you grow from them. And I also think that it's important to listen to whoever decides to join you and follow you. I think that they're just as essential to your leadership as you are to them. So it's very equal in my eyes. And everybody's that's on this show is a leader. Everyone in our class, Pay Me What I'm Worth, are leaders. So I think that no one here is really leading anybody else. We're all just here to learn and grow from each other. And I think having an open mind and listening to your people is very important. So that's what I think about it. Where did Kareem go?
I agree. A leader never thinks that he knows everything. He's always willing to learn and take anybody's suggestion that does something better or faster or easier or more effectively.
It's just like I know of a saying that I have. You can throw me to the wolves, but I'll come out leading the pack. And that's because you got a determination to be that leader. You got to have that want to be. Like when I jumped out and went being the first one at the altar, on the altar call, I took the initiative. I took the action. I wanted to be that leader, and I became that leader because I hung around people who are leaders. The only way you can become a leader is to watch a leader. I mean, you can't watch a follower because they don't know how to lead you. So therefore, you have to find a leader. Francis has been one of mine. Marsha has been one of mine. As many of you that I know around Pay Me What I'm Worth, I see a lot of leadership qualities. People stepping right out there, whether they're right or whether they're wrong. At least they believe that their philosophy is right, and they put it out there. because they want to teach somebody to become better than they are. And to be a leader, you have to be taught by a leader. You can't be just throw yourself into the middle of a wolf pack and say, oh, I'm the leader, and I'm going to beat every one of you, and I'm going to become that leader because I'm that leader. It's not about that. But in the animal world, obviously, when it comes to the leader of the pack, there's only one leader of the pack, because he's the one that leads all the females, all the males to do what they must do to survive.
I
What?
love that. That was great, Carl.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to be thrown in. And a lot of people have done this to me when I started playing music or I started doing. Sometimes you just got to throw yourself in to whatever you're doing and figure it out, and be thrown sometimes into the water and you figure out how to swim. Part of being a leader is that, taking on the tasks that you may not know how to do. By the way, Chris, this is my friend Bill, Sandy, Josh. They're joining us for the first time. You're on mute.
What
Yeah.
influence would you say, Chris, what influence would you say, with your own experience, that you have picked up from somebody else that you would add to your arsenal, I guess, for lack of a better expression? What would be something that you would use to instill in somebody else to take action or be the leader of their own group? How could you direct somebody to do that?
That's wow.
Sorry if I don't mean to put you on the, I don't mean to put you in a bad spot, but if you could maybe share something, some idea in that vein with me, it would be beneficial.
I know that when I first joined Mentoring for Free, there was a lot of people I looked up to there, and there was a lot of people that I really enjoyed listening to on the calls, and I would say that it all started there with what I learned in that group, and then I've expanded into my own. I've come into my own through when I used to do the colors training call, and then there was a couple other calls I hosted, and then I grew into doing a show with Kareem. And hold on. And I grew into doing this show with Kareem, and then we decided to start doing Pay Me What I'm Worth together, along with Marcia Sortino and everyone else here that's in the class with us. And it's just been going from there. And I know that I've learned everything I have for a reason, so I'm putting it to use. And I think putting it to use is the best way to exercise that.
So are you saying, Chris, that basically MFF was one of your stepping stones?
Yes, that's right.
You stepped through that, found that you got all you could out of it, out of the people that were posting lessons as you posted lessons of Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And you gained knowledge of leadership through Marsha and through the many other leaders that decided to jump right out there and wasn't afraid of or had a fear of being that leader.
Yes.
There was many of them that jumped on there that read the lessons, even though they didn't, or even wrote their lessons, that even though they didn't even believe that their lessons were good enough. And you built up from that level of people that, like a Tula Rand, she wouldn't even post a lesson because she didn't think what she had written was of good enough information, content for other people to gain any knowledge out of. And she was dead wrong. Because what she put out there was some high quality content.
Yes. Yep.
And so that's where I know where Chris came from. I know he got around some very major leaders. He got around Big Al, Tom Schreider.
Yeah, I've seen Big Al twice.
He's a leader all in his own rank.
I've been to Big Al Schreider twice in Winnipeg, back in 2013 and then again in 2014, and it was pretty cool to go and hang out with him and attend his training. That was nice. I never got to meet Michael Delohy or anybody else in mentoring for free except for Roger. But yeah, it was a good experience. I learned a lot from Big Al Schreider about how to talk to people and how to approach them about things, the right things to say and the wrong things to say. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed seeing Big Al Schreider.
So that would empower you to build future leaders.
Yeah, I think just being here, doing the show, and being around you guys helps a lot too. Because like people like Francis and Sandy and Doug and Carl and Rick and Cheryl and our new friend here, Bill. I mean, and Josh. I don't know how old Josh is, but anybody who's older than you that has been involved in personal development or they've been involved in network marketing, those people are the ones that I want to learn from because they've done it, they're doing it, and they're getting better at it. So that means they can teach me how to do it and get better at it. So.
Well, I think any teacher, I know from being a teacher, that you learn a lot from your students.
Yes, absolutely. I did. Yeah, you learn just as much from people who are listening to you as you do from people that you're listening to. So it's a 50-50 give and take. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to put you on the chopping block there, but
no, that's fine.
I just wanted to get your spin on it.
I just woke up, so my brain's still.
I think sometimes to be a good leader, you get put on the chopping block, and if you don't get chopped in half, you become more skillful at whatever you do.
Stronger.
Eventually, and stronger as well. It's the old saying, what doesn't kill me, or, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, also is what
Awesome.
I look to
Awesome.
really learn.
Leader doesn't matter how many obstacles you come up against, it's how you deal with them.
Awesome. Another one there, Doug. Greatness.
I would say the obstacles as a leader are a way of saying, how bad do you really want this? If
Absolutely.
I was doing, like, when I would work on websites, something would break, and another thing would break. It was really, I think, the universe or God or whatever it is, kind of telling me, how bad do you want this? How bad do you really want to succeed? Because obstacles to me are what stop 99% of the people. They say I don't have enough resources, time, money, I get the Supreme Court, whatever they don't have, and they use that as an excuse. Well, the boulder's too big. If you really want that, no boulder is too big. No wall is too big. You'll find a way to smash it down and keep going and help your team keep going. And like Rick was saying, he had to work so much, like he had to work times when people weren't even there. As a doctor, I can imagine that's extremely stressful. Right, Rick?
Yes. It is stressful if you have to do somebody else's job that's supposed to be there. Definitely. But that's what people do. They just step up to the plate. I had to do, you're talking about the time I had to do the heart surgeon's job when I'm an assistant. I watched what he did every day, so I knew. But I never really did exactly what he did. And I was forced to one night, like in the middle of the night. And that's when it's good to have personal development, because if you don't believe in yourself, no, you're just an assistant that just holds a retractor and helps the guy sew off. I mean, the person would die, you know. So all of us are the same because everyone would have done the same thing, I think.
I think I would have stepped up too, and I guess I can't make the joke at that situation. It's not heart surgery, right? But all like goofy joking aside,
But it's
sometimes yeah,
not
you
brain
have to step up
surgery.
to the plate. Go ahead.
Doug,
I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Oh, I was just being a jerk. I said, but it's not brain surgery.
I'd like to hear from some of our guests. I really would. We heard from Sandy. We got Josh and Bill. Do they have any more insights?
Josh, something's going on with his mic, but yeah, I'd love to hear from Bill and Sam.
I
Anything
mean,
you
that's what
guys
it's
got?
about. That's what it's about. So,
It's all good. Speak your mind.
Nice to meet you, Bill. Are you there?
I think he put his camera up. I'm not sure if he is.
His microphone's muted though. Somebody else want to go ahead? I gotta go watch the watch. I'll be right back.
I was just the only reason I say that to be a leader, you make sure you include everyone on the panel. And if they haven't spoke for a while, then perhaps it would be nice to step out there. And Bill, I see you're unmuted. I see a face. Take over there, kind sir.
Well, I had to step away because my wife is coming in tomorrow night, so I'm playing Bachelor, so I'm talking to her, so that's why I had to leave the conference for a few minutes.
That's awesome. It's cool.
All good, man. Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, so I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
It's all fine. What do you think, Sandy? I liked your story. I'd like to hear more from you if you have any more insights. Aha.
Well, you have each situation, and every situation is different. Are you hearing me okay?
No, you're very faint, Sandy.
Yeah, it's a kind of faint. Maybe if you could turn your volume up just a little bit.
There we go. Okay, how about if I just raise my voice up a little bit? Sometimes
Now I
people
can
talk
hear you a
so
little
good
bit
and
better.
we
No.
all have power that is within us to change the lives and our situations that are around us, but we have to take a positive approach. You can gripe and complain all day long, but what good is that going to get you? Nowhere. But you can take that approach that all this stuff is coming against you and see what lesson you were trying to get from it and move on and move through it and move past it. There's a song that says, and it's a country and western song, and it says, when you're driving through hell, smile and don't let them know that you're doing it. Um, and that pretty much is true about, some situations you may feel like you're going through a lot, but just keep smiling. The rain comes, it waters the grass, the flowers bloom, the sun shines, and you got a beautiful rainbow at the end of the tunnel. And I see all kinds of people that are around me. I deal with a lot of special needs people as well as regular people, but you would be amazed at the positivity that just a simple suggestion of, hi, how are you, and I love you, does for a person that may not be where you are at. After giving them a hug, the power in that hug can change their lives forever and put them on a better path. So you have to know the right words to say uh, to them because they are surrounded by forces that are not at all what you have surrounded yourself. As Chris mentioned, he was part of Mentoring for Free, and I did come in on that. But one of the things I have noticed is that when you do like a mental cleanse, that 30-day mental cleanse, it'll put you through trials um, because it's like a weaning away from all the negativity in your life so that you can grow into the most powerful, positive leader for your team, your teammate. Because if you notice, all coaches, they are, at least the ones that I deal with, they are positive. Not one of them that I've ever dealt with has a negative approach, because they have to know how to get inside of the mind of that athlete, so that the athlete can do the best that they can do for that situation that they're in. That's all I got to say.
Wow. That's interesting because sometimes there are forces around me, and it happens to be people I'm related with who want to stop me from achieving something, not in a bad way, but they question, like, what am I doing with a power hour? What am I doing with my music? What am I doing in my leadership roles or roles where I'm trying to create something? And you have to have this positive reinforcement, this group here, that can really boost somebody up, and when they're about to quit, help them keep going. But I'd like to hear from Bill as well.
Okay, you caught me. Oh, where are we at? What's the question at this moment? Because had to step away, of course.
I didn't ask a specific question. I just wanted to hear some of your insights, your ahas. Just speak your mind about the subject and anything you wanted to add. Or
about leadership.
Yeah, this topic.
Yeah, that's something that I've tried to be a leader, but that's something that I find is challenging to do that, and so I'm finding this and thinking of this as almost a mastermind group is kind of intriguing
Yes.
to be able to speak what you're having or thoughts and be able to brainstorm some other ideas, and all the leaders, great leaders, always have a mastermind group, whether it's physical.
That's why they're great.
And there's also the Napoleon Hill had a number of them that were had already passed on, but were still guiding him. So, which is also an interesting concept and thought. And I've talked to a friend who's also been involved with his girlfriend had passed on, but he was still getting signals from her via what other people were saying, so it knew it had to come from her. So I'm hearing kind of some of those type of thoughts too, that you can get leadership not only from physical but also from not getting religious, but from, I'll call it the force, for lack of a better term. There's another entity out there that helps us along with what we're doing.
Yes, I believe you're right, Bill. It's called the third eye, the inner self. And that's what Pay Me What I'm Worth. We're getting into that depth part of it. It's a program that we're actually getting into the depth part of our mind. We're starting off with materialistic things. What do you have in the material world? And then what do you have for feelings of those material items? And it goes on, but to touch on the mastermind group and getting back to MFF, that was one place that I learned something of myself.
Yeah.
To say, you need to get that negative out of your life. You need to get that negative out of your life, because every time she was getting up and she was saying, oh, what a day, and it was like negative from beginning to end. And you can't build a business on a negative downslope all day long. It's like, forget about it. I had to watch motivational videos just to pull myself back out of that bad karma and leadership type stuff, because even though it was bad leadership, it was still leadership in the negative extremes. And I had to get that out of my life, because if I didn't get that out of my life, it was going to destroy me. And Frances happened to be around me a long time ago, and she's seen every step of my development, and I'm sure she has been totally amazed at what I have become over the years. And it's all from the people that I listen to. It's all from the greatness of young ladies that just come on here, Sandy. It's all from your greatness. It's all from Doug and Francis and masterminding. We're all bringing the leadership qualities out, and this call has been remarkable when it comes to that. We've really gone to the limits on that. You know what I'm saying? We've discussed honesty, and we've discussed integrity, and too many chiefs and not enough Indians was the way I brought it out. There's too many people out there that want to be leaders, but they didn't get led by the right leader to become that leader. And I wanted to thank you, Bill, for your insight.
Yep. That's well said, Carl. Anybody else? Somebody else?
I think Sandy is. She's raising her hand.
We can't hear her very well, though. She's
I
got
was
a...
waiting to say, okay, Sandy, talk. That's why I was raising my hand to be polite and courteous. To touch base on what Carl had to say, I knew what I wanted. I just didn't know how to quite achieve that. And that's one thing Mentoring for Free showed me how to do through the mental cleanse. So when people come over here to my house, they could just go to sleep because it's so peaceful over here. Well, your environment is your safe zone. So I can tell you, I mean, I've got lots of funny animal stories, but the one thing I can tell you is that when you've got a lot of negativity, a lot of things that have a lot of negative energy with it, it's going to affect your mood. It's going to affect the atmosphere that's inside your own home, which is going to affect you. For instance, if you listen to, say, elevator music, it's real peaceful. But if you listen to, say, somebody that's just in a really bad mood and cursing somebody out, you're going to get away from that person because you don't want no part of it. So there's a difference in how you control your atmosphere wherever you are at so that you have peace wherever you're at, no matter what you're doing. I don't care if it's music, TV, or whatever it is, you can control that atmosphere to make it better for you and your families around you. So that's what I want to say.
I like that a lot because to me, your environment, and this is why I've created this specific environment, so I could show other entrepreneurs who either want to become one or on their way, or they're saying, Kareem, I want to quit, I want to give up on my dream. Put them in the right environment, and who knows what they'll create. I'm hearing an echo, so if somebody could mute out, that would help.
Well, I have just one story, and then I'll jump out of the way.
Okay.
And I hope I'm not the echo. When I first started network marketing, I was doing it out of a small space in a mobile home. And as I was talking to these people, I had that negative person that would come into the background, my girlfriend, wife, what have you, and I would be talking to who knows who it would be. But it was definitely a lead. And I managed out of calling and calling for days on end, 40 leads a day, and calling them back, taking away, and all kinds of stuff to come up with 5 people. But the only reason I did is because I kept persistently doing it, as a leader would do. But in the background, I had people swearing, cursing, putting down other people, and they heard that stuff, and they felt that stuff. So getting to what Sandy says, exactly, right on the money, your environment is everything.
I totally agree, Carl, because I grew up in a very negative household when I was a kid. My mother could give you 20 reasons why you shouldn't do anything, no matter what it was, you know. I actually, my crafts or anything that I made, I never even showed her anything because I wanted to still feel good about it. By the time she got done picking all the things apart of it, I didn't even feel good about anything I made, so I would just stash it away or hide it away. I didn't even want to see it because I didn't like it anymore. So the negative stuff and being positive just absolutely makes a big difference. It took me a long time to work through that. I still am working through it. That's why I'm maintaining what I'm worth.
I always like the idea that positive thinking may not necessarily accomplish anything, but it can do anything better than thinking about something negatively can. And that goes across the board, which is why, as a leader, as I was saying, I created this mastermind group, and me and Chris thought up the idea. He came up with the idea one day, and we started doing Google Hangouts. I've really seen this environment change a lot of people's lives for the better, and change my life and Chris's life for the better. And I know that an entrepreneur maybe who's struggling, who comes on this, who was about to give up, this may make all the difference, because eventually they'll come on here and see, oh, my dreams are possible, or at least there are people like me who have this specific dream, and who knows what they'll go on to create. Like if we could get Edison, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Leonardo da Vinci, Picasso, and Vincent van Gogh in one hangout, who wouldn't want to see that hangout? And maybe we don't have the ability to do that, but we have the ability of all the brilliance of our minds to get together and to help become leaders for this next generation. What do you think of that, Bill?
Yeah, well, I think getting some of those guys might be a challenge, but it would be interesting to have a few of them on. But in essence, they sure could give you a sense of where to go, like Steve Jobs or Edison. He might have some good ideas for us too. So, but yeah, it's for those that are struggling. I'm almost kind of there, but we're just plodding along, trying to see where. That's why I'm looking to see what I can do to improve my skill set to move on with my entrepreneur. So that's where I'm kind of at right at the moment too. So this sounds real interesting for me.
I mean, we're all at that place. That's why I want to get like-minded people, because it's all like a big family here, and we're all here to make sure everybody else succeeds. And by doing it individually, it can feel really tough. But when you get into a collective, like you're saying, or an environment of people who are dedicated, be like, we're all going to succeed. We're all going to make it no matter what. And I see Carl giving a thumbs up, so I'll let him speak his mind. But that's the whole point of this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're all here to help each other. And I've missed a couple Pay Me What I'm Worth classes because I was sick last Wednesday, and then the Wednesday before that I was at my concert. So I'm going to need Kareem's help to catch up with whatever we talked about and missed. And I also want to talk to Rick and Cheryl about the class they're going to be teaching. They actually are going to be teaching one of the mini classes. I didn't know we even had those set up, so I got to get caught up on all this stuff. So I wasn't sure what that was all about. Marcia was telling me about it today, and I just was like, really? Oh, okay. So I'm just confused. There's some stuff I got to catch up on. So, but being here is one of the most important things in my week, and I look forward to doing this because I want to know who else is going to be here to share their insights, share their brainstorming and their ideas, and where they're going with whatever it is they're trying to achieve. Because it keeps everybody's brain active. You keep stimulating your brain through a mastermind group, and you got to keep your brain stimulated. It's very important, I think. So.
Exactly. Frances is unmuted. Love to hear from her.
I really have been listening in here. I've had some technical problems with some of the invitations I sent out. They were saying that their computer was blocking the Hangout, and I don't know how to instruct them, but that's why my guest could not join me tonight or join us.
I will get with you afterwards and find out what's going on if you want.
Thank you.
And I haven't heard about this Pay Me What I'm Worth. Am I invited, or can anybody come, or what's the link if it is, and when?
I actually, at the end of the show, in a few minutes, can give you a rundown of it and show you what's up, what's going on with it.
Okay.
Right now, I did start a little bit late, so I can extend it for a little bit. So, does anybody, Francis, what are your thoughts? I was going to ask. I can get with you afterwards and talk to you about your guests, but any thoughts currently at this point?
I don't think I have anything constructive to add at this point. I'm going to bow out of the limelight and just absorb what everybody's sharing.
You know, you're picking up good information when that young lady right there says, "I have nothing to say."
I just thought of something.
I'm always jumping at the bit to talk, but sometimes it's more beneficial to listen. I guess 2 ears, 1 mouth, and that's also part of being a leader. So, on that,
Need Google. He's got me, and I know it all, but I don't. I've got a lot to learn.
I just thought of something if anybody's interested.
Hey, throw it out.
You know, we talked about all the different things that, you know, leadership qualities and you know what you can give out as a leader, but think of the things that and how exciting it is if you're in a leadership position and you're able to touch a life in a way that, you know, that literally years later could be phenomenal for somebody. You know, I mean, can you imagine if you were, without even knowing it, you know, you're interacting with some young person that turns out to be the next Steve Jobs or the next Einstein or the next, you know, Abraham Lincoln. Just imagine the reward of being able to, or someday think, or having somebody say something like, "Wow, you inspired me," or, you know, or even if you never ever hear about it at all, just the fact that you may, in passing, say something or do something or inspire somebody in some way that they go on to achieve just phenomenal things. I mean, what a absolutely amazing reward, even if you never know about it. And there's a good chance that you know, many of us have touched people that we'd have no clue. But you know, in that particular person's life, it was something that was life changing. So, you know, it's,
Yeah, I agree with that. Doug. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, that's right.
But getting back to my kids' story, I never ever realized as they was going off to go to school that say, "Do your best. That's all that Daddy expects," would get me to have a daughter who was a manager at McDonald's. Never did I realize my leadership qualities rubbed off on her. Never did I realize that my son, he got so involved into the church activities that he's upset if Mom don't get him there, or if he can't find a way there, because I instilled that into him by the grace of, and I won't go there, by God, I believe, that's just my point, I won't go no further, to become what they needed to be. And it was only by me saying, "Do your best, that's all Daddy expects."
Yeah, I think that's all that anyone can do, is their best. And I think as long as you're doing that, you know, and you're going to have bumps along the way. Like, I mean, I'm not perfect. I missed 2 classes and came on here a bit late, you know, but like I say, I wasn't feeling too hot. I got a cold a couple days ago, and I've needed a lot of rest. So, but I think as long as you just keep going and you show up and you keep working towards what you want, then it's gonna happen. As long as you're working towards it. So that's how I feel. I mean, I'm really can't miss any more classes though, because I don't want to fall behind. And when Kareem and I mean, if we're gonna teach collectively as team seekers, or if we're going to teach individually, and I think we should probably explore that and figure out what we're all going to do, because I would much rather teach it as a whole, as a class, rather than everyone being in separate groups. I think it would be more beneficial for all of us if we taught it as a collective unit and not
It'd
just...
be more of a mastermind.
Yeah, exactly, Carl, exactly. And that to me is much more important than breaking off into groups and teaching it that way. I think it'd be more beneficial to teach it as
like right here, each and every one of us that have stepped up to the plate tonight, including you, as late as you might have been, not a big deal. So you're sick, so big deal.
Yeah.
But you know what? You pulled yourself up and says, I'm getting on there. I don't care how sick I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a leader. It's just like going off and saying, I'm going to do my paper route irregardless of how sick I am, because people are dependent on that newspaper. People are dependent on me to be that leader, to put that newspaper in their hand. And I know that's what you do. You deliver newspapers.
Yeah.
And so therefore, you know, to do that, that means you had to bite the bullet and say, I'm sick, but you know what? I'm going to be that leader, and I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you did, and congrats on that. Congrats on that. That is a true leader. Jump on here when you're sick, tired. That is a true leader. And that's the last definition of a leader. It's someone that sacrifices right to the max to be where they know they need to be, to develop. And you know where you need to be. You know where you need to be. The mastermind and with us. And everything you say, everything other people say comes right back into all of our minds.
That's right.
And therefore, what are we getting? Reprogrammed.
Yeah.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Of course.
Reprogram.
Yep.
Get rid of the crap stinking thinking and pick up the positive and let's just rock the world.
Yep.
Because we got the world right here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, that's right, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. So, yep. Absolutely. I totally agree with Carl, 100%. You know. So. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
I do.
Sure.
I really resonated with what he said, because sometimes there's times where I don't feel like going to practice. Maybe I don't even feel like coming on here. I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like doing something I need to do. And if we borrow from like Jim Rome, what's easy to do is also easy not to do. It's not hard necessarily to get on a hangout or to get to the gym some days, but it's also easy to stop doing that. So I just have to push myself to do something maybe that I don't want to do, I have to do. And if I can start doing those easy things that I have to do, eventually I'll come to a day where I can do the easy thing, or I can do the stuff I want to do. And I know that's a part of being a leader that I really look to, is sometimes you have to sacrifice, but in sacrificing, maybe you'll attain some time where you don't have to anymore.
Kareem, that kind of reminds me of what, as I told you, what I did today. I got to swim my 1,650 yards today. And there were many times during that race where it's 66 lengths, and I says, what am I doing this for? But I'm already planning. The next one is on the 29th of October next year, so I'm already getting geared up for that one. So, and you know, it's all a head game, and but you've also got to get in and just go ahead and do it. Do I want to go swimming at 5 o'clock in the morning? Many days I don't want to, but I do. Or some days I don't, but I'm at the pool 3 or 4 times a week. So I think that's a good cause, and I'm going to do better than this year. So I understand what you're saying on wanting to not do it, but sometimes you just have to put your one foot in front of the other and go for it.
That's determination, Bill.
Yes.
Determination.
And it can come from that that little boost you give yourself to say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z each morning. I don't feel like it. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go swimming anyway. I'm going to send out my news, my MLM stuff anyway. I'm going to do a blog post anyway. Give a speech. I guess it's for me. I'm going to give a speech anyway, even if I'm not fully prepared. Why? Because what's easy to do is also easy not to do. If you do the easy things to do that'll benefit you, I think you can become, with all the other tokens we've talked about, a great leader.
Yeah, there's a reason that there's a very small percentage of people that succeed and a high percentage of people that don't. And it's not because that many people don't have the ability to do what needs to be done to get successful. It's they don't have the desire. That's those little things that you have to do over and over and over again, or day after day after day, to be able to get to where you want to go. Most people just don't have this desire or the stamina to hold on and do it. And that's not that they don't have the ability. Anybody can succeed, especially if they're willing to go the extra yard. And sometimes that's an extra 20 yards or 50 yards or 1,000 miles to get there. But if you're willing to keep going, you're gonna reach your destination one day. And
I love that.
That's hard to hold on to sometimes, but the destination is always there.
As long as you have your self-worth with you and know that you can do it, you can do anything.
Exactly. Great point.
And you know you're good enough and you can do anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Couple the desire with the self-worth and it doesn't matter. You can climb the highest mountain.
That reminds me of a time when I was living in Sabatis, and I lived on the side of the hill where I had to park my vehicle. And I had a van. I got out of it. Well, as I was getting out of it, I couldn't stand up. So I had to crawl all the way around the trailer to the back steps. It was like 20 degrees outside. It was pretty cold. And my jacket kept riding up over my head, and my girlfriend kept pulling my jacket back down, and I kept crawling along the ground. I got to the steps. I made it up 2 steps, and I couldn't go any further. I just was completely exhausted. But the girl said, "You're coming in the house. It's too cold to stay out here." I says, "Wait a minute. I'll calm down. I'll be all right." But I just didn't have any more left in me. It was one of those things. And I wound up having to get lifted in the house by 3 different women. I got in the house. I crawled across the floor. I got back into my chair because I have to get up on the couch to get into my chair. But it all became determination because I wanted to get back into this chair, and I wanted to get back on the computer, and I wanted to get back into talking with people and leading people by calling leads and doing business. And there wasn't anything going to stop me from doing that because I made up my mind I was going to do it. And that's what it's all about. To be a leader, it's just biting the bullet and taking it and grabbing the bull by the horns and saying, "We're going to rock this." And reminds me of Rick going out surfing. I often wonder, are you the first one that grabs that board in the morning, or the last one that grabs that board at night, or are you leading the pack of people that grab a board and head out, or... I had to put you on the spot. I had to. You would be let know.
You're funny, Carl.
I've always been a leader in surfing. I was the 2004 East Coast champion when I was 47 years old for the old man division. And like I said, I like to lead by example. I just went to the beach today, and the waves were pretty good. There's a lot of people in the water, and Cheryl said I caught two of the best waves in an hour. And I don't know
And
if
I
it
missed
was,
taking pictures
she
of
tried to
them.
take a picture and she couldn't, but and then I think about, well, I'm the happiest guy out there, and I think that makes a difference. I'm smiling. I know I'm going to catch my waves. They're all groveling and biting each other in the butt, So no,
That's
it's a
awesome.
lot of attitude. I go down there with an I don't think, oh, I'm going to catch a whole bunch of waves. I just think, well, I want to be happy, and I want to smile, and I want to have a good time, and I'm doing what I love to do, and most people aren't. So I feel just so fortunate to be doing what I love to do. And it's effort, Carl, to get down to the beach. You asked Cheryl. It's an effort for me to get down there. I have to rip myself away from this place. So
Oh, I bet sometimes, but you know what? That leader's coming out. Can't stay in the box. It's
yeah.
just like putting the whole, like 3 or 4 kittens in a box, and sealing top, and I mean big enough so they won't get hurt, what have you, and seeing just which one is going to claw their way out. Which one is going to be that leader that's going to say, I'm coming out of that box there, son? I wonder if it's like that when it comes to your pigs that you raise. Is there some of them that are like that are leaders, and there's some of them that are really laid back
Whiner.
and follows and
Yeah.
whines and just follows the leader?
It's funny that you mentioned those pigs today, Carl, because it's been a really learning process for me. And I'm close to nature. They used to call me Nature Boy, and I'm always out in nature and messing around. And I never had wild pigs, and I got a wild pig so I could learn, how they relate to the dirt and the earth and all like that, and to study their network, their their intuitive network, or if you want to call it their psychic network, whatever you want to call it, their soul energy or something like that. I just never been around them, and I've learned so much from wild pigs. I mean, it's just, I feel like, what's that lady's name that was always with the gorillas or something?
Jane Goodall.
Jane Goodall. I feel like the Jane Goodall of pigs or something. People around here, they just kill them and eat, but I don't. I mean, and it's funny because we were talking about, damn, we don't have a lot of food in our freezer, but if we killed a pig, we would, but we wouldn't do it.
But we don't eat pigs.
We wouldn't, we would if, we
If
eat
there was
it.
any,
But, it's sort of a funny thing, life.
Did the little spider tell you not to? She's like, hi, I'm Charlotte. Don't kill the pig. Bye.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm still stuck on Nature Boy Rick. Well, you were a professional wrestler at one time too, weren't you?
I fought karate, but not wrestling. not big wrestling. Karate fighter.
I love
I call that idiotic. Kicked in the head every weekend.
Yeah.
Thinking it's gonna be Chuck Norris. That's stupidity.
Ric Flair's
So what
off.
is your sensei like? What is your sensei like that teaches you your classes there? Shall I put you on the spot there, Senorek?
Oh, my sensei.
What's your sensei like?
I'm a sensei myself now after 30 years of martial arts, but I've had like about 10 of them, and they were all, I don't know how to put this without being, they were all jerks except one of them. They were all egotistical. They were all really beat up people and show other people how to beat up, and I didn't like them till I met this one guy, Jim Ingram, and he was a World War II veteran, and he was like a really, what I consider a kung fu master, and I spent a year with him and training with him, and he was a little bit egotistical too, and but I learned to be a leader from him in a martial arts class, and I learned to not be so egotistical, and I learned to really learn from my students. I've had quite a few students, and they teach me more than anything. Just like our guy Soul says, he learns more from us than we learn from him. So it's been fun. 30 years of martial arts.
That's a mark of a good leader. Always willing to learn. Always willing to learn.
Uh,
Oh, Sandy has her hand up. What's up?
yeah.
The one thing I wanted to tell
He's
you is that
having
when you
fun.
have animals, you need to be paying attention to what they are telling you about a person. If they don't like that person, there's something within that person's soul they do not like, because they can see within the inside of a person's soul, and whether or not that person is good or not, they will tell you. I used to have parakeets, and my one little bitty bird, Mr. Tweety. They like to nibble on everything. And this one girl was a neighbor, came across the street, and she had on a beaded necklace, and that bird would fly up over my refrigerator onto the kitchen curtain, and would not come down and proceed to bawl me out. I tried 3 times with this bird to go near her. He wouldn't go near her with a 10-foot pole. So I've had more than one incident where there was an animal, whether it was a bird or a dog or a cat, if they did not like you, they would not go near you with a 10-foot pole. But they know. They do know. I had a 10-day-old baby kitten that I had found, and I took it out to the Love Astray No Kill shelter. And while I was there, the blind cat came and got into my lap along with the cat that she had to take, from my house. And because, they were just dumped off at my house, and I took them in until they could take them in. And when I left, every single cat followed me out to my car. So she said they know, and they do. They know. They know who's good, and they know who's not so good. They know.
Mhm. They
Have
pick up your vibrations. They pick up your vibrations, Sandy.
An
They
animal.
pick up your vibrations. Boys, they do. They pick up vibrations. Just as a little baby, they pick up the vibrations of their surroundings. And so, yeah, you are right on target there, Sandy, as far as that goes.
it's just not that. Um, they know if your house is haunted as well, because my last house had a lot of spirits in it, and I actually had to go get some books and read up on it and figure out how to deal with these spirits, because they would do things like I had a steel door and with the bolt locked, and they were locked top and bottom, and I was sitting on the couch, and the spirit came along and unlocked both of the locks and opened up my front door at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I kid you not. So they see the spirits, they see everything that we do not see. So it's important to pay attention to those animals.
I fully agree because I have parakeets now as well, and a parrot. And this is funny relating this to leadership. If there's somebody I want to go in business with, but they treated animals or children poorly, I probably would have a lot of reservations about them, associating with them and doing work with them, wanting to bring them into whatever I was doing, just because if they can't show compassion to other sentient beings, how are they going to be able to lead them effectively? And to go back to maybe what Rick and Carl were saying before, sometimes I don't feel like doing something in the morning, like he's saying, busting out his surfboard and doing all that work. Maybe I don't even feel like playing guitar or getting up, but just getting that momentum to get up and go and to do that one activity, just telling yourself I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm not busy, I'm not in pain, I got to get this done. And then going and doing that, even if maybe it's not the most ideal morning or day. And with that, if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to close out our shows with a couple of calls to action and show you guys what Pay Me What I'm Worth is all about as well.
Go for it.
All right.
Hey, man, rock it.
Okay. So just let me know. I'm going to share my screen. If you can't see it, let me know. Okay. So this is our website. www.theentrepreneurpowerhour, entrepreneurpowerhour, yeah, how it sounds, theentrepreneurpowerhour.com. If you can't get there, I can also send you a link. It looks like this. You'll see a video go off of our intro. And if you want to get on the show, or if you want to get information, just type in your name, your email address, sign me up. In addition to, I'll send you a newsletter of what we're talking about, so nobody's like, Graham, I forgot the topic. Well, this is just an email reminder. And once our books come out, or if anything comes out that I feel can be beneficial to you guys, I will send that in the newsletter. Also, I'm working on this. I have not completed it. It's a membership site as well. That was the front end site. This is going to be a little bit different. One day I was thinking, how could I bring entrepreneurs after the show is over? How could I bring entrepreneurs together and make a community for them? Because I've tried to use Facebook, LinkedIn, and Fiverr, and I like all those sites, but I wanted a social media site dedicated to entrepreneurs. So when you come in here, you'll see a dashboard. You'll also see a profile where you can basically put all your information as to what you're doing, where if you want to put where you live, do you have a job, how long you've been doing it, what type of connections are you looking for, some of your obstacles and 2 biggest personality traits. You can also have activity like on Facebook, and you can have friends. You can see what they're doing. You can have groups. You can also communicate in a lounge, and you can follow people. If you don't want to, if you're not big into social media aspects, there's also going to be a chat box where you can click on someone, and just, it doesn't have like Facebook pictures, but you can still say like hi. There's a little bit of a delay on it. What's up? And I'm going to be putting content in here with different people I interview. I'm going to put the best of our shows up here. I'm even going to do live training on different subjects if anybody's able to teach something. And I'm definitely going to do some Blog Talk Radio and some Google stuff. Plus, I'm going to even create a video series to help new entrepreneurs. When someone signs up for this site, you can also find them by knowing what their first name is. And you just click here, like my name's Kareem, you can click K. And there's all my stuff. There's my profile. And you can also send mail in here, similar to Fiverr. And there's also a private forum. And for the people who are like dedicated to coming on the Power Hour, I'd like to give everybody a free membership on here so they can use this and have fun with it. And the forum just has different questions about being an entrepreneur. So that's my membership site. I'm looking maybe to launch that maybe in November or December. Now, you asked what Pay Me What I'm Worth is, right, Bill? Pay Me What I'm Worth is a unique class taught by a fellow named Soul Dancer. And the basis of it is really to find your own personal worth and to help others find their personal worth. And he does this by teaching specific classes. This is our class, Team Seekers, the class I'm in. And I'm going to stop screen sharing. He also uses this book, Pay Me What I'm Worth, to use different lessons. And in addition to that, I'm going to share my screen again. We also have discussion forums once we get into the class about what we're working on. So I'm just log in here and show you the membership side of this. And the goal of this really is to get over a lot of problems we have as entrepreneurs of fear, doubt, guilt, shame, things that hold us back maybe as entrepreneurs, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, you can benefit from this, from limiting beliefs so we can learn how to be mentors in our specific field and we can learn how to, or coaches in our specific field, so we can help others. And you get a certification like everything else. This is the blog area where we talk about what we've learned as well. And we each get our own personal blog, and it's very similar to a forum. So it's and you can start your own team once you've got all of the knowledge and all of the experience, and you finish part of, I think it's on the 3rd or the 4th month, you can start bringing your own team together and get paid to do it. So it's literally teaching a class to help people get over limiting beliefs with a book, forums, and Soul Dancer is your guide to help other people and to also help yourself, all while getting paid to do it. And you can make your own team of people you want to work with. Ours is Team Seekers, and it's probably one of the most eye-opening courses I have ever taken on the internet. And to find somebody who's genuinely, like Soul Dancer, interested in helping other people is hard to find. Also, if you have any questions, or if there's anything that I didn't cover, you can feel free to get with me after this broadcast. And if you're really serious about starting or getting started with a Pay Me What I'm Worth group, you can call this number. Soul does a little interview process, and he sees if you're ready, and then you can actually start the whole. And there's a lot of different classes that you can teach to help other people out. That's basically all I had. Is there anything else you guys want to add, or anything else you guys want to say before we start the broadcast?
Well, one thing I'll add is that there is a fee for all of this, but you pay for the course to take the class, but you also can earn it all back when you start teaching. So investing in yourself is very important, and me and Kareem have yet to decide if we're going to teach our own class or if we're going to do it collectively. We're going to make it affordable for people, but at the same time, people have to be willing to pay what we're asking to teach them. We're going to decide on something that's fair, but at the same time, we got to make sure that we're getting paid what we're worth, obviously. So yes, there is a cost involved, of course, but there's different ways to pay that. You can share your cost with other people if you want, that you want to bring in. You can split the cost of each month, but there is a fee, of course. I mean, there has to be, or otherwise it wouldn't run smoothly. So, like I said, I don't know what me and Kareem are going to do yet. If we're going to teach our own class, or if we're going to do it collectively with Team Seekers. I'm not sure what we want to do yet. So.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. There is a fee, and there's different ways to circumvent that. You can work with somebody else. I could share the cost with Chris, which I'm doing, or you can share it with multiple people. And we haven't decided when we teach a class, what the fee is going to be specifically. Other than that, that's all I have, guys.
Well, you have truly been the leader, Kareem. You stepped out here, even though you probably didn't particularly feel like it, but the show must go on, as an old stage show saying, the show must go on. And I believe that we've touched on every individual point of being a leader. And between all of us, masterminding together, now we got to do is take it to the world.
All right.
Now we got to take our knowledge and start sharing it into our little groups and let them know of what we have here to offer them at not only the Entrepreneur Power Hour, but Pay Me What I'm Worth. So this is why I take this. As soon as I get a link for it, and I'm taking it and pinning it to my board, going through Twitter, going through wherever. And if I was all of you, and I know Rick already does this, Cheryl, and I know I do in Kareem, but if you want people to know the knowledge, be the leader and take it to them.
All right. On that note, I suggest let's take what we've learned here. I want to thank Sandy, Francis, Doug, Chris, Josh for appearing, Rick and Cheryl, Carl, and Bill. I hope you can join us again. And let's take our knowledge to the world, be effective leaders, and help others be effective leaders.
Great show.
Have a good night, guys.